all come down here to the corner and we'll get started. Everybody come on down into the corner. Welcome to the Vehicle Assembly Building. When this was completed in 1966, it was the largest building by volume in the world. It's no longer the largest by volume. That's now the Boeing Airplane Assembly Plant near Seattle, Washington. But this is still considered to be the largest single-story building in the world, because if you look straight up, 526 feet or 160 meters above you is the roof. It is a 52-story tall, single-story building. Originally designed for the Apollo Moon program in the 1960s. In the late 1970s, it was modified for the Space Shuttle. Later this decade, it will be used for the Space Launch System and any commercial companies that want to use this facility. Let's talk about how we use this building. Remember those two pictures I showed you on page 5. It's always a rocket sitting on top of a gray mobile launch platform on top of a crawler. So when it's time to create a new rocket, the process starts outside with one of the crawlers picking up one of those mobile launch platforms. And then the crawler will go around on the outside over here to the east side and will come in through those big gray doors into one of two high bays. Either high bay number 3, which is right there, or further down is high bay number 1. Now the reason we come over to this side is this is the side that faces out towards the launch pads. So the big gray doors on the outside open up. The crawler comes in with that platform and places that platform on mating pedestals inside the high bay. The pedestals go up about 30 feet or about 10 meters or so. So the crawler places the platform on those pedestals, and then the crawler goes out those outside doors and leaves it there. Once the platform's in there, then we can start assembling the rocket. So the pieces of the rocket or the space shuttle will start coming into the building either to the doors here on the north or the doors to the south, 726 feet or 218 meters away from us. Brought in here in the middle, this is called the transfer aisle. And then we use one of the many lifting devices here to take those parts up in the air through that big opening called a diaphragm inside the high bay, and it's lowered down inside the high bay to be placed on top of that mobile launch platform. Once the vehicle is assembled, then the crawler will come back on the outside through those big gray doors. It will come underneath that platform, reattach to that platform, and the outside doors open up as high as they need to go, and the crawler will take that platform with the rocket on top of it down the road out to the launch pad. We'll see that when we leave. Now, as we said, we have 70 different lifting devices in here. The most common ones, this yellow one right here that has the American flag on it, it has a capacity of 175 tons. It goes this way, north and south. Kind of hard to see, but if you look up in high bay 3, you see another yellow crane up there at the top. That one has a capacity of 325 tons. It goes this way. It goes east and west. So using one or both of the cranes, we would pick up those parts of the vehicles here in the transfer aisle to go up in the air through that opening or diaphragm down inside the high bay. We have some pictures down here that will help better explain how this works. Before we go down there, would you please tell this young lady what rule number 1 is?
Stay inside the yellow line.
And you are blessed. Please follow me. By the way, he said John Glenn was in here about an hour ago on the VIP tour. Did John Glenn have to stay within the yellow lines? Did John Glenn have to stay within the yellow lines? He did? Oh, well, that's pretty good. Anyway, let's all come down about here so we can get everybody in. Now these pictures show you the vehicle assembly building at 2 points in its history. Over here on the right, during the Apollo Moon program. This here is not the Saturn V moon rocket. This is a smaller version called the Saturn 1B. We launched the Saturn V, which was the biggest, most expensive, most dangerous rocket in history. We didn't want to fly it any more than we had to. So to test the individual parts of the Saturn V, we used the Saturn 1B. It wasn't strong enough to go to the moon, but it could go up into Earth orbit, which was good enough for testing. It was cheaper and safer. So that's the first stage of the Saturn 1B. Over here, these are parts of the Saturn V moon rocket. As you can see with all three, we began by taking them here in the transfer aisle, picking them up with one or more cranes to go through that big opening or diaphragm inside the high bay. Over here on the left is during the shuttle era. Here you can see the orange external tank being picked up here in the transfer aisle. Remember I talked about the connecting points for the liquid oxygen and the liquid hydrogen? Well, you can see them right here, these red valves. The one on the right is for the liquid oxygen. The one on the left is the liquid hydrogen. Here you can see us picking up the Space Shuttle Orbiter Atlantis. We attached a sling to the sides, and then we attach cranes to other ends of that sling. Back here is the 175-ton crane, and here's the 325-ton crane. Here you can see the orbiter going through the opening or the diaphragm, still being held by the sling and being pulled up by that 325-ton crane. If you look on the bottom where you see the red L's, those are the connecting points for the liquid oxygen and the liquid hydrogen. So those 2 points match up to those 2 red valves right here. This is a new addition. This is one of the cleats off of the crawler transporter outside. Each one of these weighs roughly a ton. So if any of you can pick one up and slip it into your pocket, you can take it home. Also, when you get to Saturn V Center, they have another one of these with a lot more information about it. So we have a chance to see it at the end of the tour. Please follow me down these next displays. Right down here. Everybody come on down as far as you can so we get everybody in. Come down as far as you can so we get everybody in.
This is about as far as, away from building the stone ship.
Now, these pictures show you what happens after we get through that diaphragm or opening into the high bay. Over here with the Apollo Moon program, this is the Saturn 1B. Once again, sitting on a mobile launch platform. Here's the first stage. Here comes the second stage, and aren't these workers in for a surprise when they connect that? Over here is the Saturn V moon rocket fully assembled. You can see there's the Apollo capsule on the top. Remember we talked about that red service tower. Well, you can see it right here in the high bay. It's on that mobile launch platform, and it was used by the workers to service that rocket in the high bay. Again, it rolled out to the pad with the rocket and the mobile launch platform. That's how we're going to do it again in the future. Over here during the shuttle era, once again, mobile launch platform on the bottom. Here are the solid rocket boosters. Here's the orange external tank. Here are the connecting points for the liquid oxygen and the liquid hydrogen. And here we can see the orbiter Atlantis is being lowered in the sling, connected to the 325-ton crane. And the orbiter will hook up to these connecting points, and then there's another strut at the top of the tank. This picture here is an artist's concept of our new space launch system that we'll be using later in the decade to take our astronauts back to the moon or to an asteroid or to Mars. I had a child tell me that it looked fake. And I said, well, it's because it's fake. We haven't built it yet. But this tower and platform is real. This is a new one we finished in 2010 that will be used for the space launch system. It's parked outside and we'll go past it when we leave the VAB. So sometime around 2017, the crawler will pick it up, come around over here on the east side into either High Bay 3 or number 1, bring it inside, and we'll start stacking the space launch system on top of it. Probably is going to look similar to what we did with the Saturn V there back in the 1960s. And now if you please follow me, I have someone to introduce to you. Anyway, I have a lot more to tell you about what's going on here. I'll be explaining why parts are missing, and I'll be telling you what museums we're going to, but I want you to have time for pictures. So I'll give you 5 minutes for pictures, and then I'll resume and tell you more about what's going on here.